Hello and welcome back to Suspended Animation. I am your host, Dennis Betholkus, and this is Deadly Class Season 1, Episode 10, Sync with California. So, sorry I'm a little bit late. There was a whole host of problems that were happening today right before this thing happened, before I got to watch the episode. So, yeah, that's all I can say. I missed the very first 30 seconds of this thing because I dropped my dinner in the kitchen, broke an entire like Pyrex bowl and all this kind of stuff. Whoa. And had glass everywhere. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I'm trying to clean up glass so the little dog doesn't go and, you know, get cut up and everything because she was going for the food that was inside, of course, the Pyrex bowl. And yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. Hey, Ghosted Obscurity, Sculpt Leather Art by Viking Badge, Pen Farm Girl. And I saw Morks in here as well. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I was dealing with that about like 20 minutes before the thing started, and then I'm like, am I gonna get done in time? And then of course it starts, and I'm like, yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's glass everywhere. I mean, if you ever dropped anything. But anyway, on to the episode itself. So forgive me about the first 30 seconds because, like I said, I missed it as I was trying to cordon off the area in there and make sure it was all cleaned up. And of course, I'm still having microphone issues there, but there we go. That actually sounds pretty good without having to be all echoey and whatnot. So yeah, right there. There we go. That's a good one. And of course, bouncing around the camera as I'm doing that because everything's attached. Because why not? Why wouldn't it be? So, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you haven't seen the episode yet, go and watch it. Come on back. And hopefully we're getting a freaking season 2 out of this because as Joker the Third says, ends on a fucking cliffhanger. That's all I can say. Yeah. So, where do we start off with? We start off with El Diablo, of course, and his goons hunting down Lynn and his daughter and shooting. I mean, they just shooting up people left and right. So there's a whole bunch of guys that are dressed up as restaurant workers. They get all shot up. Excuse me. And then El Diablo is in the car, of course, following them and saying that Lynn will watch his daughter die. That's what he says. He has to watch his daughter die. And yes, Pen Farm Girl, tonight's body count was very impressive and very creative. It was like they saved all the really creative deaths for the very last episode of the season. Go figure that they would do something like that. So we have Lex, Marcus, Billy, Saya, and Petra all outside Shab's house getting ready. And we see Marcus hammering nails into a big baseball bat. For those of you who are comic book fans, you probably recognize the hack slash baseball bat is what that is. It's also from the Warriors as well. A lot of different places, a lot of things have used it. But the first thing that came to my mind, comic book wise, since Marcus is a big comic book fan and an indie comic book fan as well, was hack slash. Hack slash, by the way, for those of you who don't know, and I don't think hack slash was out, if I remember correctly, in '88. It came out in the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, yeah, Snake Plissken also used it as well. Exactly, Joe Greer. But yeah, so he's got his baseball bat with the nails in it. And they're outside discussing whether or not they should go in there because, they're going to die if they go in there. And Saya, of course, has scoped the place out, says the backyard is literally a minefield, so watch out. And then they're questioning whether or not they can trust Maria because Maria, being all crazy as she is and not taking her meds and everything else as well. So, yeah, it's kind of a fucked up thing. And so Marcus ends up telling them that this is what they train to do in the school. So, they should do it kind of thing. And as he's trying to give the pep talk, of course, Saya's going, well, some of you are probably going to die. And, back and forth about, we should do this or we're going to die, and we're going to die, that kind of thing. And yes, Maria was all over the place. But who can blame her, at this point? So they go through the whole, Marcus says this is what they were trying to do, take down a rabid dog. And they end up running through what they're going to do. And as they're running through the plan, they're actually doing this. So we see them doing this. And Lex is dressed up as a delivery guy. He's delivering a package to the door, which is actually a bomb. Petra and Billy are going to the back door. They're jumping over the little landmines and whatnot. And they are going to set up back there. And they're going to set off some fireworks so that when the front door blows, the neighbors will just think it's the hillbillies, firing off fireworks again. Because it's out in the Sunset District, we found out. So I was trying to figure out where this was. It's out in the Sunset District. And by the way, if you had that kind of shit going on in the Sunset District at that point in time, the cops would have been there in like 30 seconds flat. So yeah, Hunter's Point, no big deal. Sunset District, yeah. So that was a little, but anyway, it's fiction. So I'm going to leave it at that. They get the door blown off open, and we see there's a whole bunch of chickens, and there's a goat in there and things like that. But there's no people, and it's kind of weird. So Lex and Marcus end up going inside, and Lex has a gun. Yes, it was a little exaggerated for TV. And we see that, Chester has his home slasher films going on TV there. And we see Saya. She is actually climbing from the roof down, and she swings into a window, breaks in. And she doesn't see anybody either on the upper floors, but she does see a burning cigarette. So someone has been there just before, just sitting off on the edge of the table. And just when they think that everything is cool, the chicken comes flying down on Marcus and Lex and freaks them out, and they're all screaming. And just when they think that everything might be in the clear, they're like, what the hell's going on? Hillbillies start exploding from everywhere. I mean, they're coming out of doors. And, first of all, what happens is Lex ends up getting his foot snared in a trap and dragged into the next room. And hillbillies start popping out of doors. And Marcus ends up taking him down with the bat. I mean, he's just beating the shit out of him with this bat. And even one hillbilly pops out of the floor. And yeah, it's a hillbilly booby trap. And he hits him in the back of the head and drags him down because the nails are in his neck, and he drags him down to the floor. Lex gets away and starts running back, into the room there, and faces some more of these guys. And Saya, in the meantime, runs into some woman that she pops out of the closet and starts, beating the shit out of Saya up there. And we see Saya has her katana out, and she's getting it pushed against her throat. She's down on the ground. She's getting it pushed against her throat. And this woman is talking weird shit about Ronald McDonald being the Messiah. And I mean, the ranting and raving on this alone was some really quality ranting and raving. I have to admit. I've heard a lot of ranting and raving in my time, but yeah, the Ronald McDonald is the Messiah thing, and oh my God, I've got to go back and watch that again. And just as she has the katana up against her throat and she's holding it back, we see Maria. Maria pops in, and Maria looks at her and says, "You fucked him, didn't you?" And it's like, oh shit, she's gonna play. She's gonna actually use this time to hash this shit out now. And oh yeah. So luckily we go back to Lynn in the run with his daughter, and they run into an empty building. And he keeps saying over and over again, they were supposed to protect you. They were supposed to protect you. And he realizes that Saya had split from her post and didn't do her job, which she was supposed to do. So that's coming up at some point that we're going to have to deal with. And they run upstairs, and we see El Diablo and his guys come into the building, and they're looking. Well, actually, El Diablo's goons, two guys, come into the building looking for them, both with guns. So we see Madame Gal enters Shab's room, Shab and Marcus's room, and she goes, "Do you have any more information for me?" And he goes, "I think I know where they are." So yeah, Shab, being the little shithead that he is, I don't feel bad for anything that happens to his house or him or anything like that, or his parents, because he's just, yeah. So Billy and Petra have a moment out in the backyard, and he says, "Well," he goes, "I don't want to die, and can we?" And they're going to kiss, and then the back door explodes. Their little bomb that they have on the back door explodes, and Billy goes running towards the door to go and kick it in, and bounces back off, and he's like, "Holy shit, she was wrong." She goes, "The back door is a trap." He goes, "And the front door." And they go, "We have to climb up. We're gonna have to go up and into the building, on the second floor." So yeah, it's some pretty fucked up stuff, and that's when we see that Chester is inside. He's screaming and yelling too, as Lex and Marcus are still trying to shoot at them, hiding behind a refrigerator. They have knocked down the refrigerator at this point, and that's what they're using for shelter from all these bullets. And Chester says that the door has been reinforced with 2 inches of reinforced steel. So yeah, exactly. And they end up, the hillbilly cousin Jim decides that he's going to make a run over the top of the refrigerator and kill them. And he jumps up over the top of the refrigerator, and he looks down and he sees a pipe bomb that's lit. And he's like, and oh, sweet merciful Christ, And we see him explode, like literally explode. So pretty disgusting. And of course, Marcus and Lex are inside the refrigerator itself. That's what they were using for shielding. So Saya ends up getting out from underneath the hillbilly that was pinning her down, and ends up, excuse me there, I have to now move stuff around. So she gets out from underneath the hillbilly, and Maria kills her. Maria kills the hillbilly, slits her throat. And that's when they start having it out about, Marcus. And she says, you just had to take him from me, didn't you? And Saya's like, you're fucking crazy. And then we have a 70s moment, a classic 70s moment, where the lights turn red on Maria. And it's like, ding, we get this weird kind of music, which I was kind of surprised they haven't done this before. They haven't done any kind of 70s or 80s homages on that. And, they both end up fighting and like duking it out. And in the middle of all this shit going on, and Maria ends up cutting Saya's face, and Saya gets pissed and starts going after her until Granny shows up with a pitchfork and pins Maria in the shoulder and knocks her back. And then Saya runs into what I can only refer to as the missing link of hillbillies. He's just this big, huge, bald guy in overalls saying, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. And of course, knocked Saya down the stairs. Yeah. Lynn and his daughter are hiding in the closet, and he goes, remember when you were small and when you showed all the kids about how well you could hold your breath? He goes, well, I want you to hold your breath for me now. See how long you can hold it. And they're hiding in the closet, hiding out there. And we see El Diablo's 2 guys walking through the room, and they're stepping over dead bodies, all this kind of stuff. And also we see one guy, he's not dead. He opens up his eyes and jumps up and kills one of the goons before the right-hand man, I guess you could say, of El Diablo shoots him down. And then Lynn pops out of the closet there and just starts beating on this guy, knocks the gun away and starts beating on him. And they go at it while Lynn's daughter is watching and is terrified, of course. So Marcus and Lex, like I said, they pop out of the fridge, and Chester says that the party is moving downstairs while Saya gets thrown downstairs by the hillbilly, the large hillbilly. And Maria kills Granny. She takes the pitchfork and jams it up into her throat. And that's when the hillbilly, the large hillbilly, goes, you killed Granny, and goes after her at this point. And she gets attacked. Basically, it's his her grandson is attacking her at this point. So yes. Lynn did use everything in his playbook. So I forgot to mention early on, when Lex and Marcus were taking down the hillbillies, at one point, this guy with a chainsaw comes in and is running towards Lex. He's going to take him down, and Lex dodges him. And the guy ends up taking down one of his own family members by putting the chainsaw in his chest. And he's trying to get his foot into his, he's got his foot up there trying to get the chainsaw out. and he falls back, and of course the chainsaw hits him in the head and takes him out as well. Like I said, there's a lot of fucking carnage in this one. A lot of carnage in this one. And yes, Mr. Crowley was playing at one point here when Marcus ends up going down into the basement. But so we see Lynn fighting, and the guy that he's fighting ends up blowing some fire at Lynn and lights his arm on fire and knocks down Lynn. It looks like Lynn is down is going to be killed at this point when Lynn's daughter hits him from behind with a board, hits the guy from behind, giving Lynn enough time to grab the guy and throw him down the stairs and grab her and get the hell out. So yeah, Marcus ends up going downstairs and he's lighting his lighter as he goes down there. And Mr. Crowley is playing there, and we find Shandy in the cage, and all these dogs are barking and everything. And Shandy's like, he fucks the dogs. He fucks the dogs. And my God. And then Shab's mother is dressed up, of course, like a pig dog in one of the cages as well. And she's trying to tell him, kill them all. And Marcus dodges to the side because she looks up and she gets her face blown off by a shotgun because Chester was trying to kill Marcus there. And, of course, hits her in the head instead, killing her. Yeah, the dogs don't like him, as Viking Bitch says. So Shandy was telling him the dogs don't like him. He goes, he thinks the dogs love him, but they don't. They don't love him at all. They don't like him. And that's why the dogs are all barking and mean and everything because, it's... oh, yeah. Wow. So Saya ends up slashing the giant missing link hillbilly, and we think he's down, and she's helping Maria at this point. And the hillbilly gets back up and is coming towards them. It's like nothing will stop him when all of a sudden this blow dart gun hits him in the back of the neck. And we see it's Billy. And the guy turns around and he's and talking about how he defiled him or something like that. There's a lot of ranting that goes on with these hillbillies while this fight scene's going on. A lot of incoherent ranting that I've got to go back and watch it again just because of all the ranting. It was very interesting. And so Billy hits him with another blow dart. And of course, Saya goes, he's too big. The shit's not going to work on him. And so Billy runs, and the giant missing link hillbilly goes after him. Yeah, the God complex stuff too. How they were messing with the real America now and everything. And I was like, whoa. There was a lot of ranting in that. There was a lot of subtext in that ranting. That's all I can say. And it kind of parallels with what's going on today. So that's all I can say. Very, very weird shit. So Petra ends up, of course, saving Billy's ass by killing the giant hillbilly from hell. And Billy's like, you chose me. And she's like, yeah, shut the fuck up, man. Of course I chose you dumb shit. So Lex is out of ammo. He's by himself in the kitchen down there. And this one hillbilly comes over the top of him and knocks him down, is on top of him with a giant knife. And is slowly putting the knife into Lex's chest. And Lex is screaming, trying to fight him off. And Billy comes in with barbed wire, puts it over the hillbilly's neck, and just strangles the shit out of him. And it's probably the most brutal strangle scene I've ever seen, I have to admit, because the guy is like making all kinds of weird noises. He's doing it and kicking and screaming. Just, oh my God. Yeah. Skillful of the Art by Viking Bitches. My only complaint was they seem to be using all the skills that used in their classes, the blow darts, etc., and started to feel like a lesson rather than real life. They were using what they had at hand, and you know what? It seems like kids trying to put into practice what they learned, and to see what they have mastered. And so I think it was just what everyone had mastered. And Saya was the most, of course, Saya Maria being the most accomplished. Marcus is just melee. That's all he is. Whenever he gets scared, he just goes into melee mode. And Billy, I think, he was really good with the blowgun. I remember that. And Lex, I guess, was just good with the gun. That was it. So Petra, yeah, it was very interesting. Uh, there's it's kind of hard to do this on the fly, when you're thinking about it when everything's flying around during the episode. I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually what they're doing. Okay, that's interesting. So of course, Lex, gets up and hugs Billy and Petra and goes, "You saved me, you saved me. I did, I don't want to die." Uh, so yeah, it's we know that Lex is the one that really. I don't know if he really is interested in this life, to tell you the truth. He talks the talk a lot, but as it was shown in the last episode, he was told, you know what, he's not really walking the walk. He's just kind of he's all talk, no action. Yeah. So Maria is bandaging herself up, and she tells Saya that she needs to find Marcus and help him out. And Saya says, "No, you people are all ticks. And you're just draining me and bringing me down to your level." And she goes, I'm out of here. I'm done." And she leaves. Um, Lynn escapes through a revolving door, one of his multiple revolving doors in one of the alleys with his daughter, and disappears as El Diablo and his guy are looking for them out there. And we think that the guy actually sees the revolving door because he's looking at a wall for a second when El Diablo's car pulls up. So I have a feeling something's going to happen here because of what happens next, shall I say. So we have Shandy and Marcus tied up because Chester, of course, found them. He found Marcus and had, knocked him down. And Chester decides that he's going to do a perverted kind of talk show, if you will, where Shandy is dressed up with a wig and is in his underwear still, but the top half of him has like a suit and tie on, and just weird. And Marcus is sitting next to him on the couch with some duct tape over his mouth. And yeah, what ends up happening is Chester says, "You know what?" He goes, "What makes a monster?" is what he says. And he says that society loves monsters and breeds them. And he just says, why not get a little fame off it as well, since he is one of the monsters. And he wants Marcus to admit that to the camera that Chester was the one that was responsible for the orphanage, for killing all the kids in the orphanage. And it was because that Marcus made him do it after setting off the bomb. Yeah, here's to the man who has the power to kill us, fuckface. Yeah. Yeah, Chester fuckface is what he was calling himself. So it's not subtle at all. So Marcus says that Chester only did it for the fame because he's too shallow to create anything else, and he doesn't know any better, pretty much. He's kind of stupid in a way. And yeah, he's just really kind of pushing Chester's buttons at this point. And he's shallow and wants to fill the void, is what it was, and of what happened with him and his father. And as he puts it, sadness is a rage turned inwards. So he's trying to use a little Morrissey on him. And Chester's falling for it. I mean, he's actually going for it at this point. And, Marcus also tells him that family isn't defined by blood. And Chester finally tells Marcus that he was the first friend he had until Marcus blew him up. And Marcus apologizes to him and says, you should come with me to the school. He goes, they'd really love you there. And he says, we can put this all behind us and everything will be good. And I'll be your friend. We'll go to the school and we'll be friends there. And just as Chester's kind of getting into it, Marcus grabs a shotgun and tries to kill him. And of course, Chester dodges it and Marcus makes a run for it. Chester catches up to him and starts beating the fuck out of him on the floor again. And it's right next to one of the dog cages. And Marcus reaches up and unleashes the dog. Peppermint, no, is what Chester says, as Peppermint jumps on Chester and essentially rips his throat out while Shandy films it all. Yeah, it was, man, it was pretty brutal, man, I have to admit. So Marcus gets up, goes over to the fridge, opens it up, and we find Chico's head in there, kind of half frozen. And so we know now he's got Chico's head at this point. So Lin ends up taking his daughter with him back into the school to his office where the monks are lying dead on the floor. And we see Lin collapse on the floor. He's bleeding. And who shows up but Madame Gao? Madame Gao is sitting there waiting for him. And she says that, you have failed, of course, what she tells him, and tells him that she's going to take his daughter to the temple of the great exam. And he says she's not ready yet. And Gao says, neither was I. And that's where she leaves him, just laying there in a pool of blood. But yes, we're not done yet, because here comes El Diablo. Exactly. So Marcus comes upstairs with Chico's head in his hands and runs into Maria. And she says, all I ever did was love you. And of course he says, I didn't ask for that. Which is exactly what you want to tell a crazy woman who has knives and can kill you with a drop of a fucking hat. You just want to kind of argue with her. And then of course he makes it even worse. Oh, sorry. I'm really just knocking shit over here. I'm really going to have to work on my setup a little bit more here. And she says she doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have to worry about her anymore. And, that she's pretty much over it. She's done with him now at this point. Everything's good. And he says he felt like it was an obligation. And she, all of a sudden, you could see her lose her shit. And she goes, I was an obligation. He goes, no, that's not what I meant. And she goes storming out and, of course, is pissed. And he says, no, I love you. And she says to stop lying. And then they walk outside the gate of the backyard. And who do they run into but El Diablo and all of his men? And fucking Marcus is carrying Chico's head, frozen head, in his hands. And El Diablo goes, I see you found my son, is what he says to Maria. And just then, Lex comes running out and says, we got to get the fuck out of here. Shit's going down. And then he turns and sees El Diablo's men, who all have guns, and Lex gets shot and goes down. And that's where we leave off. Cliffhanger. Fucking cliffhanger. So Madame Gao has Lin's daughter, taking her to the temple. Lex dead, possibly. El Diablo with seeing Marcus and Maria with Chico's head in their hands. Saya gone. She's taken off at this point. And we don't know where Billy and Petra are. Maybe screwing inside the house. We don't know. Maybe with Shandy, recording that. But all in all, a really damn good season. If you guys haven't watched it, go and watch it. I mean, why are you watching me if you haven't watched that yet? Yeah. Let me get to the chat a little bit here. Yes, Slurmy, I do have the cough still. This fucking thing will not go away. I swear. It is like a plague. It's now, 2 months and counting here. So, actually a month and a half. I take that back. It's a month and a half and counting. Joker the Third says, I hope it gets on Netflix. I'm going to plug it word of mouth. Yeah, it's actually really good. It started off kind of weird, but I'm actually very happy with it. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to go back and watch it again. Where else do we see here? Poke the Bear. Morrissey still has a following to this day. Joker the Third says, yeah, exactly. Where else are we at here? Penn Farm Girl says, Mr. Crawley was my least favorite song from Blizzard of Oz, but strangely, I really enjoyed hearing it during tonight's show. Yeah, it worked because it was creepy, and it worked in this context because of what was going on in the scene. I thought it was actually pretty good. And yes, Joker, Lynn did use everything in his playbook. He was on the fucking run at that point. And yeah, Joker, that wasn't from Kill Bill. That whole that's from old 70s movies. Every 70s movies had that whole lighting and music effect when people were going insane and fighting each other, especially for women. For some reason, it was kind of weird. It was all over the place at that point in time. Quentin Tarantino just used it for Kill Bill. That's all it was. Let's see here. Joe Greer says, fighting for his freaking life and what is left of his family. Exactly. A couple other up by Viking Bitch says, I was wondering what kind of drugs she was on, or maybe she was just having a psychotic break. I think it was just a psychotic break because she is not taking her meds. We know she's bipolar. She wasn't taking her meds for her bipolar, and she is basically bouncing back and forth at this point. Maria is who we're talking about here. And she is up and down. So, yeah, there we go. Joe Greer III says, a nice variety of action sequences all throughout the episode. It's definitely worth a rewatch. Yeah, I've got to go back. Like I said, that whole thing, it was very crazy. So, yes, next week is going to be Happy, Pen Farm Girl. That's right. Happy is going to be taking over its place. Pen Farm Girl says, how did Maria know he slept with Saya? I missed how she figured it out. That's a good question, Pen Farm Girl. They really didn't say. I mean, because basically Marcus had slept with Saya the night before, the morning before, I guess you could say, the morning of their carnage that they did there. And he made it to the comic book store, threw up, shit himself, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know where she found out that, he screwed her, because they were the only two that, no, Shab had the whole thing about, he was actually recording Maria and Marcus in the room. So it couldn't have been Shab. I don't know. That's a good question. StanFlow39, Latinas are crazy. They can tell anything just by looking at you. Okay. That's what it was. It was her superpower. She looked at Saya and knew exactly what happened. Actually, she looked at Marcus and knew exactly what happened. He had it written on his face. You know what? It probably was. That's what it was. Because Marcus is, he's horrible, fucking horrible at lying. Really horrible. Yeah. I wouldn't call that crazy. I'd call that a superpower. Yeah. So let me get some business out of the way. If you like what you see and like the coughs and all that stuff too, hit the subscribe button. Also hit the like button. If you don't like what you see, hit the dislike button. I just asked if you hit the dislike button down in the comment section, let me know what you don't like. Not that you're fucking stupid or, it's the most horrible thing I've ever seen. Give me some constructive criticism here, because, shit like that, I hear on a daily basis from work. I really don't care about that. It rolls off of me and I just delete it, is all I do. So give me some constructive criticism. That's what I say. And if you want to know when I'll be on next live, hit the little bell. If you've already hit the bell, don't hit it again, because it will, unlock it again, I guess is what's going on. And you may get a notification from YouTube when I'm going to be on live again. YouTube's doing some funky things right now. That was the reason why I was a little bit late getting on today. I couldn't scroll down for some reason once I put in the description of what this podcast was about, and it wouldn't let me get to the little, share button down there or the start button. So I literally tried starting this thing 3 times before I just said, screw it. I'm not putting the description in. I'm going to hit that. And yeah, but no one does a cough pause as good as Dennis. That's right. There you go. There's the pause right there. Yeah, StanFlow39. I want to go and read the book too. Thank you, StanFlow39, for subbing as well. Also, if you're still on the fence about joining up, take a look. There's going to be some videos up here, actually a video up here. It's going to take from what you've been watching on YouTube, and it's going to take one of the videos from my library, matching it to your tastes. Take a look at it. If you like what you see, then hit the subscribe button. That's going to be over on this side. So there we go. Stormy Scott says, oh, spoiler alert, do not watch any Expanse reviews of the new book Oh, okay. You guys are talking about Expanse. I'm talking about Deadly Class. Different thing altogether. So there we go. If no one has any more questions about Deadly Class, other than, I mean, it was a damn good episode and a good series. I was kind of on the fence about this one, but when it started, I should take that back. I liked the first episode, and the second episode, I was kind of wondering where it was going, and then after that, it kind of kicked into gear. Why did he have to die? We don't know if he died or not. Stanflow39. I think Lex is going to be one of those characters that gets stabbed, shot, beaten, mutilated. So in the 70s and 80s, there was always the trope. You had the one friend in the horror movies, the slasher movies, who would literally get like almost mutilated to the point beyond repair and would come back from a seemingly, horrible death. And I think that's what Lex is. No, the other guy that got shot. Oh, I don't know who you're talking about. Oh, the other guy that got shot. Because, I mean, there was only Lex that got shot, other than all the bad guys that got shot. So, but yeah. And we don't know what's going on with Billy and Petra, where they're at. We know they're in the house, but we don't know what's going on. So, and then Saya, if she's leaving the house, she's got to see El Diablo and what's going on there. She's just going to walk away from this. And so the other thing was that I had was Madame Gao entered Lynn's office through the front there. I think El Diablo is going to be entering Lynn's office, Lynn's office through the back, through the revolving door that he came through, because his right-hand man was looking at the wall kind of funny, like he noticed the doorway. So, yeah, Lynn is still alive. He's bleeding pretty bad, but I think he's still alive. Yeah. Exactly. Lynn's got to be alive because Madame Gao has his daughter, and that's going to be the whole crux of the third season. Not only that, Lynn's going to be pissed off at Saya for leaving her post because she was supposed to be the one that protected his family. That's what he sent her to do because she has a blood oath to him. She is beholden to him to do whatever he asks while she's there. He told her that specifically. Till she returns to Japan, she is his to command, as he said. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things, and I don't know if the show's going to get renewed. That's the whole thing. The reviews, not the reviews, the Nielsen's for it, I guess you could say, are not good. It's SyFy, so SyFy drops things at the drop of a hat too. I don't know. I really don't know where it stands. And it hasn't been renewed or canceled as of yet, but the ratings on it aren't good at the moment. So I think it dropped below 1 million views. It was like 900,000, somewhere around there. Yeah, SyFy does have a bad history of renewing things. I mean, shit, they canceled The Expanse for less views than this one. Viking Bitches, I'm surprised the ratings are not great. I wonder if SyFy is becoming predictable. People don't trust them anymore. It could be. I mean, Happy is kind of one of those weird things where the ratings are really good on it. So who knows? You talk about Winona Troubles? I don't understand what Winona Troubles are, Joker. Sorry. Is that a saying or something like that? Is that what the kids say now? Production of the show. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, I did talk about those. All right. Well, that's IDW, Joker. Winona, you're talking about Winona Earp. Yeah. So that whole thing is IDW's fault on that one. They've got actually good ratings. They are SyFy actually wants another season out of them, and IDW doesn't have the money because IDW is the one that is funding the production on that one, and IDW right now. So IDW is in my backyard over here. I've walked past their, offices and all that stuff plenty of times, and I see it closed plenty of times. So I'm kind of wondering how much more money they have left. I know one of their guys left. One of their CEOs left pretty recently. So yeah, playing catch up on Star Wars Resistance. Star Wars Resistance got really good in the last back half of that season. C. White says Deadly Class is ranked 5th on SyFy, which is reasonable. That sounds reasonable to us, but I can guarantee you. So SyFy is owned by NBC Universal. NBC Universal, I don't trust them any further than I could throw them. So timeless, that's all I can say. Or they move shit around all the time. Yeah, useful. I wish it was cheap to make. I don't think this show is actually that cheap to make, to tell you the truth, because they do have a lot of special effects involved. And that actually is where it runs in. Same thing with Winona Earp. I don't think that one's actually cheap to make either. But at the same time, that's not on them. It's not on SyFy. That is on. Did you hear this thing about sliders coming back? And yeah, that's a rumor. That was something somebody mentioned, and I don't think it's coming back, to tell you the truth. So, yeah. I honestly don't think that's going to happen. So anyway, with Deadly Class, hopefully we get a season 2, because that would be really shitty to leave it on a cliffhanger like they did on this. Not only that, it's just a good series. And yes, it's some questionable acting by some people, especially the actor who plays Marcus. But and then we also got to find out what happened to Willie, man. Willie took off as well. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, everyone, hit the like button if you like what you see. Hit the dislike button if you don't, but let me know below why. And yes, Lin is Wong in the Avengers. Yes. So with that said, take a look at the videos up here. Hit the subscribe button if you like what you see. And other than that, I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Thank you for everyone who joined me in the chat. Joker the Third, Stanflow 39, excuse me, Sculpted Leather Art by Viking Bitch, Pen Farm Girl, C. White. Thank you, C. White, for showing up. I know Morks was in here too. Slurmy Scott was in here. I think Movie Photo even showed up in the very beginning and just said hi and bye. So there we go. So I'm going to let you guys go for the evening. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may drop a big bowl of Pyrex with your food in it on the kitchen floor and end up picking up glass for the rest of the evening. Good night, everybody.